guys, this is MommyBelluga Investing.
Hi there, back again with me Ratih in MommyBelluga Investing. Since I had mentioned TSMC on my previous video discussing applied materials, I might as well make a review about TSMC in this channel. By looking at the numbers, my quick take for TSMC are: first, it's a growing company with a lot of cash cushion. And two, I'm actually interested in making more positions in this company as I feel that the price is getting cheaper. Alright, before getting into the data as usual, I read the disclaimer first. Disclaimer, this is an amateur video. My main intention is to record my own journey learning and practicing investing from scratch. Over time, you may find that some inconsistencies in my analysis and conclusions. Please bear with me. My analysis is limited to the public data that I can access and the scope of my knowledge. Both of those change over time. This video shouldn't replace any financial advice and it is a suggestion to take position, buy or sell in the stock market. Please conduct your own research before making any decision. But if you do your own research, I hope this video could be useful somehow. Alright, now let's start from a brief company's profile. So, TSMC is listed both in Taiwan Stock Exchange and American Depository that traded in New York Stock Exchange. From their profile, TSMC was established in 1987 and headquartered in Hsinchu Science Park, Taiwan. TSMC is a pure-play foundry business where it exclusively manufactures customers' product. From my understanding, it is like having a kitchen where TSMC exclusively produces cake for other brands or shops. According to the profile again, by choosing not to design, manufacture or market any semiconductor products under its own name, the company ensures that it never competes with its customers. Based on this founding principle, the key to TSMC's success has always been to focus on its customers' success. TSMC's foundry business model has enabled the rise of the global fabless industry, and since its inception, TSMC has been the world's leading semiconductor foundry. In 2021, the company manufactured 12,302 different products using 291 distinct technologies for 535 different customers. Based on 2021 annual report, we can see that TSMC continuously increased its capacity plan with annual increase around 6% per year. It also continuously increased delivery of more advanced nodes. From its 2021 annual report, majority of the common share is held by ADR Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited. The second largest common shareholder is National Development Fund Executive Yuan. One interesting shareholder here is Labor Pension Fund. I didn't spend too much time to dig deeper into these shareholders, but I'll do it someday because it seems pretty interesting for me. Alright, so that was a brief look at the company. Now let's look at its performance. To evaluate TSMC here, I plot 3 layers of information as usual. They are the earning per share, here uploaded as red round markers connected by a red line. I also added green dashed line to indicate the zero earnings, where earnings below this line indicate that company recorded a loss in that period. So here we can see that over the last 13 years of data that I have here, TSMC's profit has been growing steadily and seems to be faster since 2019. To state the obvious, it had never recorded a loss for this 13 years period. Considering the capital-intensive industry that TSMC is in, the profitability, as we can see here, is really impressive. There are not that many of dips of valley that I can comment on, which is good, but there was a small dip in the earnings which happened in 2011. From its 2011 annual report, the management mentioned that 2011 was a challenging year. The semiconductor industry was stagnating back then. And then there was also another notable year, that was 2020, when the whole world grappled with the COVID pandemics. TSMC didn't escape from that. However, it was somehow benefited too from the semiconductor demand spike at the time. At the time when this video was prepared, 10th of July 2022, TSMC just announced its June revenue of NT 175.87 billion. Yeah, it is a decrease of 5.3% from May 2022 revenue, but an increase of 18.5% from June 2021. So for the half year performance, it increased by 39.6 as compared to last year, which is very good. Okay, so that was about TSMC profitability. Now I'm curious about how it financed its growth. To do that, let's go to the next two layers of information, which are: firstly, the cash positions. He uploaded as purple bars, which then I compared with TSMC's short-term liability. And here I plotted them as gray bars. This comparison helped me to judge the company's liquidity and its ability to operate. Without operation, there will be no profit, right? The picture I would like to see is that the cash position is to be higher for each year than the current liabilities. So here we see most of the time TSMC's cash positions were higher than its current liabilities. There were several years that the cash positions were lower. They were in 2010, 2012, and 2019. Overall, the cash versus liabilities situation seemed to be pretty okay for me. Right, next, let's continue with the shareholders' perks, the dividend history. To see the dividend payout and its sensibility, so here I plotted 3 layers of information. The first one is the dividend payout over the last 13 years, which are plotted as red round markers connected by a thick red line, as we can see on the screen. On each of the points, I have annotated with 2 numbers. The number above the markers are the dividend payout in US dollars, and the ones below are the payout ratios to the respective year's earning per share. As a comparison to the earnings, here I plotted back the EPS or earning per share as a thinner line with the same color, red. The highest dividend payout was in 2009 and 2018, which they pay out about 90 and around 87-ish% respectively. But other than those 2 occasions, the companies seem to be pretty prudent about their dividend distribution, which is another plus point for me. Now let's take a look at the dividend from a different perspective, whether the dividend payout beat the bank deposit or even CPF interest. Let's look at the dividend yields history. Here I plotted the average yield per year as the round markers. At each markers I placed an error bar, which represents the range of yields over that year. The variation in a year is caused by the volatility level of the share price. The yield increased if the share price decreased, and vice versa. At a glance up to last year, TSMC dividend yield was still higher than high-yield bank deposit and SSB. However, this year, 2022, are probably going to be lower than SSB. Up to half a year, the dividend yield is 0.92%. So most likely the full year will be less than 2%, double of 0.92%. All right, the next item on my list is the company's market valuation. Let's discuss about the market valuation. To see TSMC's market valuation, here I uploaded 4 layers of information. They are: first, the price, which represents market valuation of the company. It is also the easiest information that I can obtain. But price alone, as usual, sometimes misleading for the value of the company, its prospects. So I'll include some fundamental indicators to help me to decide. The second layer of information is the 10 times earning multiply, which here I plotted as a dashed green line. 10 times earning multiply can be considered as the price where price to earning, that is the PE ratio, is 10. For me, I consider 10 times earning multiply has 2 purposes. The first one, it indicates the price where I expect, where I have higher chance to break even within 10 years. You can plot 5 times earning multiply if your investment horizon is 5 years. Second, as a consequence for the first reason, I consider share price above 10 times earning multiply to be usually expensive. Alright, the next one is the third layer of information is the 15 times earning multiply. With the same principle as the 10 times earning multiply, price above this indicator will be deemed as expensive. Here I plotted the 15 times earning multiply as a dashed yellow line, just like the traffic light. The fourth layer of information is the 20 times earning multiply. Here I plotted as a dashed red line. I consider the share price to be super expensive if it ever crossed this line. For non-growth company, I consider to cut down my position if this ever happen. So now let's see what's going on with TSMC share price. Right, historically up to 2016, the market didn't seem to value TSMC as a growth company. Evidently, the share price hovered around 10 times earning multiply. However, after 2016, the market seemed to realize that TSMC is a growth company. Hence, the valuation jumped to more than 15 earnings multiply. Even in 2020, when all semiconductor industry was hit by supply shortage, TSMC valuation jumped way higher than its 20 times earning multiply. Lately, the valuation returned to around 15 times earning multiply, which is getting more interesting for us. As of 31st of July 2022, when this video was prepared, TSMC stock price was at 88.48 US dollar, close to its 15 earnings multiply, which is around $84. I think it's pretty fair share price for those that can stomach market volatility. Alright, so this picture is something new for my video on this channel, where I disclose our position on the stock that we are evaluating. Let's look at the graph that we have on the screen. We started to take long positions since the first quarter of 2021, when we realized that TSMC is also listed in US Stock Exchange and tradable in New York Stock Exchange. So here I indicate the point where transaction date, where we transact on the company's stock. At the glance, we took the first position after TSMC massive bull run since March 2020 to January 2021. If you look closely, there were several trends in the decision making that I can highlight here. First, most of the trade, or maybe all, were executed during market dip, like in January 2021, February to March 2021, August 2021, early September, and those of 2022. In other words, we bought the stock during the dips. Since it was guided by the fundamentals, market downturn did not make us panic. We took that as an opportunity to buy more. So there had been steady drop in TSMC share price since early 2022. At the same time, the gap between our transaction is getting smaller. We felt confident. We still feel confident in TSMC fundamental that we believe the stock was on sale. To illustrate better, I'll bring back the fundamental indicator. So here I bring back the fundamental indicators for PE 10, 15, 20. Green for 10, yellow for 15, and then red for 20. Looking at this graph that we have on the screen, at a glance, I can see a mismatch between TSMC's profitability and the share price. TSMC's earnings are actually going up, while the share price is currently going down. Hence, have the feeling that the stock is actually getting cheaper. The late June frequent transaction was also helped. Our late June frequent transaction was helped by cash injection from our dividend income. The dividend came from our Singapore portfolio, and it just happened that this market downturn coincided with Singapore's dividend season. All right, now conclusion. Let's close this discussion on TSMC. For me, after looking at the numbers, what I can say is that the first one is TSMC is a growing company with a thick cash cushion. 2, it has a prudent dividend payout, which is good. 3, in terms of business, it has a very interesting strategy. It chooses not to design, manufacture, or market any semiconductor products under its own name. By doing so, it ensures that it never competes with its customer. Clever, isn't it? Most likely, this is a good strategy. Yeah. And those 3 makes me interested in making some more position in this company, as I feel that the price is getting cheaper. Alright, if you find this content to be informative or interesting, please consider to support by clicking the subscribe and like button. Appreciate your input to improve this channel through comment section. You can also access this channel in podcast version through AnchorFM, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast platforms. I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.